Thanks for choosing to watch the video. In this one, you join me on the river trying to catch a big pike through some fairly challenging conditions through winter. So it's actually been a couple of years since I did a pike fishing video, unbelievably. I do catch quite a lot of jack pike whilst I'm lure fishing for the perch, which isn't ideal. I catch an awful lot of jack pike. I've been meaning to do a video where I'm trying to catch a pike that's a bit bigger by design from the river. I started off on the river on a section that was rumoured to have produced some big fish. I really was just following up on rumours here. I really didn't know whether they were there or not, but it's kind of all I had to go on. Haven't fished for pike on the river for a very long time. I started off by wandering around from swim to swim, just with a deadbait rod, in fact, just under a float, going from swim to swim, getting to know the stretch of river and hoping to come across a big pike. But I got absolutely nothing on that initial session on deadbaits under the float. So what I decided to do next was get out on the river just with my lure rod. I felt that was going to be a really good way to get to know the river and yeah, move around and hopefully find a few fish. We've got to find this deep water, I think. Always check the edges first. If you think about it, all the cover and the snags and that are in the edge. What I found as well is that don't do just one pass. Go through it at least twice, because it's almost like the first one to get their attention sometimes. You know, they clock it, they're like, oh, what's that? But haven't moved quick enough to actually get it, but they have acknowledged that something just went past, and then 2 or 3 others for them to actually hit it. I would say especially in the winter, their reactions might not be quite as quick. Definitely getting more depth along here, which I like. There we go, fish. Yes, well pleased with that. Yes, well happy with that. Go on, way. Totally different when you're targeting them. Do you know what I mean? If I was perch fishing at the moment, I'd be swearing at it. There we go. Super. So it's not going to be a great picture and it's not a huge fish, but first from a new venue makes me feel confident that I might be able to find bigger. So catching that fish right at the end of that session just gave me a little bit of confidence in that this section of river did hold some fish. Now, you might have noticed that the river is really quite wide through this section. It really is quite an expanse of water, in fact, which is why I felt like going in with the lures was a great way to cover lots and lots of area. I will take you through the lures that I was using in a bit. You might have noticed got a fairly sort of bright spiky shad on there, also fairly natural pattern Shadteez and things like that. But I think the more important thing here is the way that I was using the lure rod. I've kind of like started to get the knack of using the lure rod with a fairly heavy jig head, especially where there's quite a big expanse of water, and I'm almost like leading around, you know, like you do when you're carping. I'm almost just moving around this section of river, using my heavy jig head to get a feel for where the weed is, where it's gravelly, where it's silty. More importantly, it's trying to find out the depths. And I really am just sort of like casting the lure about, actually trying to find that deep water, because it is quite cold and I think they're still going to be in that deep water. Sure enough, when I came into this part of the river, I could feel straight away that it was taking longer for the jig head to hit the bottom. I felt like I found the deep water. Sure enough, caught a pike. So now I was going to go out on an all-out attack using a dead bait rod and a lure rod. Once again, it is freezing cold, and I'm out here at first light. Must be mad. So it's early morning, and yeah, step one of my plan was executed yesterday. I came here on dusk last night and fished just about every swim with lures. I managed to locate them, so that's step one. Found a spot where, you know, I didn't catch anything big, but definitely out of all the swims I fished, I had a couple of decent takes in a certain spot. So step two of my dastardly plan is to now move in with dead baits and see if I can pick off a better fish. Dead bait rod ready to go. Yeah, that'll do. So, got lures versus dead baits. This is where we find out, was it the fact that it was dusk that they came on the feed? Yeah, definitely. The more I think about it, the more I think I've just got the feeding window wrong. They were definitely in that spot last night, quite localised as well. So I think I've just got to come back, hit it again at dusk. So I'm back on my hunt for a decent pike. Oh, what a sunny day. It's cold but sunny. I mean, in some parts of the river here we got ice in the edge. You wouldn't think it looking at this image here. It looks brilliant sunshine. It is melting fairly quick, but it's still only about 1 degree, so just above zero. So it is quite cold. Back in the spot that I fished the other day, and this one is going to be interesting, I think, because I had fish here at dusk on lures, found them on lures at dusk, came back at dawn and then blanked, and I didn't get any fish at all in this spot, which tells me, you know, maybe there's a feeding window. Maybe there is a feeding window, a late afternoon into dusk. Well, that's what it is now. So yeah, let's fish through till dusk and see if that actually is the case, that you know, the spot's right, I found the fish, but got to make sure that you're here fishing inside that feeding window. So here we go, dead bait roach. We will fling this out. Oh, it's a little bit more right than I wanted it to be. That first run through, the GoPro wasn't on, unfortunately. But that's alright, doesn't feel massive. Oh, I don't know, it's not too bad. First run through with a very natural looking Shadteez, and it's been hit. Oh, quite a nice pike, like a fat little one. There we go. Yeah, that tells me that they want to feed at this time of day. Right, let's get them out and have a look. And there we go. It's not quite the size that we're after, but he's not bad. A chunky pike taken on a lure. And I think that tells me that the feeding window is in the afternoon. It's not in the morning. Cracking. What was interesting there is, you know, that's what it took. A Shadteez in a fairly natural colour. I'd been chucking around a fluoro type lure, you know, the lemon tiger, for about 10 minutes or so with nothing. Put this more natural one on and it got a hit first cast. Took me by surprise, the GoPro wasn't even on. So yeah, obviously I'll sort of play around with that, stick with that now, see if we can get another. So yes, very pleased with that, especially considering how bright it is. And yeah, like I said while I was holding the fish, yeah, that tells me that I did find the right spot. I definitely did find the right spot in all this water. But the other morning when I came, that obviously wasn't their feeding window. That's twice now I've come late afternoon, going into the evening, and both times I've had fish. So that tells me if I'm going to put a few sessions together, I really am best off waiting for it to warm up a bit and fish for them in the afternoon into dusk. Might be too much weed. I think there might be too much weed to fish these dead baits on the deck. Don't know, but I just had one on the lure. I might be better off just fishing lures. I do prefer fishing lures anyway. Just, you know, wondering about that myth as to whether it's the dead baits that really bring you the big ones. Don't know. Fact is that dead bait is making me stay in certain spots for longer than I want to, maybe. And you know, there's just part of me that wants to bin it off and just wander around with a lure rod. If it was a competition between lures and dead bait at the moment, if it's about numbers, the lure rod is winning. Oh my God, a fish on the drop. That is crazy. That's hit that on the drop. I haven't had that on lure fishing before. That's another one. There's another very similar sort of size one. Maybe a bit smaller. Quite fat though. These fish. Lovely, nice fight. Come on, in you come. Smashing. There's another one. Yeah, these lures are easily outperforming the dead baits at the moment. I think what I'm going to try and bring that dead bait up off the bottom a bit, because they're definitely out there. See if that works. There we are. There's another one on the lures. If it was a competition, the lures would be winning at the moment. But then I don't think the presentation on that dead bait rod's good enough. And that's something I'll sort out now. So how about that? Another one. Only been fishing like about half an hour or so, and that's 2 pike, both on lures. Yeah, it's absolutely knackered up, that natural looking Shadteez. It's bitten the tail off. I'll have to see if I've got another one. If I haven't, then yeah, I'll be looking for something else in my box that's around about sort of 9 or 10 centimetres in size and a natural sort of colour. Binning off this dead bait rod, it's getting on my nerves. I'm getting itchy feet. I think it's because I've been doing so much lure fishing lately that, yeah, this is just getting on my nerves, this rod. Means I can explore my lure rod and the swims either side of me. Actually able to move around a bit now I've got that dead bait rod in. Not going to go far, but I am going to stay sort of close to where I've been catching them. Definitely worth putting a few more sessions in, I think, and seeing if it throws up a monster. Had some cracking takes actually, off the littler ones in the edge that I didn't record because I didn't have much space on the GoPro, so I was saving it in case I hooked a big one. But yeah, I mean it's just really good fun actually, enjoying it. I've got to be careful that I don't enjoy it too much because if it does turn out that in actual fact it's just full of jacks, then that's not why I'm here. The thing is, having said that, there have been rumours of 20 pounders. Been a cracking little session though. Only started fishing at about 2. It's now just gone 4. And in those 2 hours, I've had 4 fish, 4 takes, nailed every single one. So yeah, very pleased. Makes me wonder if I came a bit earlier in the day, like midday, had a whole afternoon of it, I wonder if I would catch more numbers. I think I might try that. I am thinking twice about bringing the dead bait rod, which could be a mistake, especially if I'm after a big one. You know, a lot of people do believe the bigger ones come on the deads, but I don't know. I think it's where I've done so much sort of perching and that, and I just got used to moving around, finding it difficult to stay in one spot too long. And I know I can move around with a dead bait rod, especially a float rod, as well as the lure fishing, but you know, a lure rod, a float rod, camera equipment and all of that, and just going from swim to swim, yeah, I can't be doing it, to be honest. Oof. Just had one slam it in the edge. Didn't have much on the SD card, so Pike's getting these washes in the edge. Let's get him in the net. There we are. Oh, the lure's come out, look. Oh, but he's in the net. Oh dear. So I'm starting to lose the light now. I am going to fish on for another half hour or so, but I am going to put the camera away and fish into dusk. If you don't hear from me again, then I haven't caught anything else worth sort of sharing with you in this particular session. But you know, it has been good. What, I've been here for maybe an hour and a half. Yeah, about an hour and a half, and I've had 3 fish on lures. All right, no monsters, none of these mythical, rumoured huge crocs, but I will be back if we're getting fish steadily like that, you know, then hopefully we'll come across something bigger. And I did catch another one, but it wasn't any bigger. I was going to have to come back another day to search for that monster. And isn't it typical? On a different flowing part of the river, I'm catching bigger pike on my perch gear. Slammed it. And so, yeah, unbelievable, right? I'm actually catching bigger pike whilst I'm trying to catch perch. But this big river pike story isn't over. Now that I had decided to go in with this full-on attack with lures, I had to take a good, honest look at my lure box, and I realised that I probably needed to up my game. And this is where you guys came in. I'm wanting to, you know, puff my chest out and be all manly and use big lures, you know, like 14 centimetres and up. From memory, it was the spiky shads. You used to do really well on those, or the Xander Pro shads by Fox. Used to do really well on those. What else should I be chucking? And this is where it's cool to have a community of people that watch your content. It works both ways, and you really did come up trumps. I want to thank everyone that made a suggestion for the sort of lures that I should be using, and in the next video you will see me using those lures, and hopefully we will bag a big pike. I want to thank everyone for suggesting lures, bringing me up to speed on what I need to be using, and in the next video we're going to be taking those lures out on the bank that you recommended to see if we can catch that big pike. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like and subscribe and all that stuff, and until that next video, be lucky.